So our panelists will unpack the hidden mechanics behind this phenomenon and explore the impact on everything from personal beliefs to global discourse. It's a conversation that will make you rethink what you scroll past and what you believe. So please join me in welcoming Karan Gupta, the Regional Director and Consumer and Shopper Insights, Africa and Middle East at Kantar, and our distinguished panelists to the stage. Please welcome Karan Gupta, Avni Sanghavi, Masoor Hook, and Amita Vikram Pratap. Please give them a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone has had their breakfast and all set for the day. Thank you for joining us on day 2. And let's kick off with one of the topics that was being discussed a little last evening as well. And it's an interesting one because we, as marketeers or supporters or brand owners, or even as consumers, are interacting with social media day in, day out. Either we want our consumers to use them or we are using them to reach out to our consumers. So with my esteemed panelists, what we'll try to do is unpick a few key elements around how social media is influencing or shaping the consumer perceptions. So we'll try to assess both the flip sides and the positive sides that we as consumers and brand owners try to evaluate. So what we'll first do is we'll have a quick round of introduction for our panelists, and then we'll move forward. Ms. Masroor?
Yeah, I'll start first. My name is Masoor Hook. From the States. Just got here yesterday, and I am originally a real estate investor, mastering branding strategy and marketing strategies. And I'm actually super excited for this topic because one of my core beliefs is the alignment through authenticity. And so I'm excited to talk about the echo chambers and how the perception is shifted and correlated to social media.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Avni Sanghavi. I'm from the Mumbai real estate developer segment, and I am the second generation leader in my company. I am taking care of the marketing aspect of my company, which brings me here today. And I'm glad to meet you all. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Amita Vikram Pratap. I am a digital marketing and brand consultant, and I've been working in the industry for over 22 years. Started with traditional advertising and moved to digital, and the transition has been nothing but spectacular, and I'm here to share my learning.
Awesome. I am Karan Gupta. I'm the Regional Director for Kantar. It's a market research domain. We help marketeers shape their brand's future by identifying their growth opportunities, and I look after Africa, Middle East region. So let's kick off the session here. Now, we know about social media, but let's just take a step back and let's try to assess that how does social media compare to traditional media in influencing consumer perceptions. So let's just open the conversation by comparing it with the traditional forms.
Should I?
Sure, please.
So having worked in traditional media initially for over 10 years, I can say that the biggest difference between social media and traditional is real-time updates and on-the-spot content creation. And that is where the biggest difference comes. And in traditional media, we had time to plan, we had time to think, we had time to create. Even if a country was winning in a World Cup, we needed at least 12 hours to create an ad and print it. Today, everything is instant, and therefore, social media becomes very critical in maintaining the authenticity and a right tone of voice. What do you say, Anvi?
So I would say the engagement that social media provides is massive. The penetration is massive. That so that even 2 a.m. at night, the ad is following you. It can reach you. So even when you're using your bathroom, it is with you. So that is the intensity of the ad. And also that the traditional media like hoardings, outdoor, above the line medias, they are not approachable at all point of time to us. Whereas with social media, any information is available at any given point of time. It's within my hands. I just need to browse and get back. And also, call of action is immediate with the social media. I got a doubt at 2 a.m. at night about a specific product. I can just browse through the social media, or I can browse through the website, and I can get my doubt clarified, or just put on a message, or put on a mail or something, and I can get that clarity. Whereas, which is not the case with the outdoor media, the traditional marketing aspects.
And I just want to add that, one of the main considerations to think about is that the echo chamber effect is based on, it's not just digital, it's based on the places that we show up to, or the groups and the Facebook groups and the social media feeds that we subscribe to. They're all based on our choices. And so we end up going to a lot of the places, and we end up subscribing to a lot of the knowledge bases that we feel safe or we feel right. And that's part of the shifting of perspective. If we're only subscribing to all the places that we feel like we are correct or we are right, then we're only going to get that information. And so that's really going to shape your beliefs, because you really have to get uncomfortable and get into more of the conversations that you're not really a part of, to make sure that you get other sides of the perspective.
That's an interesting point. I think we touched upon how it makes it quicker to reach and how it's always there with us. And the point about the uncomfortability that you just spoke about, Masroor, just tapping onto that or extending on that, what kind of psychological factors do we think consumers have to go through or when they have to access social media? Or how could some of these psychological factors like fear or missing out could influence their perceptions?
The fear of missing out is absolutely, but that's also based on the fact that their fear of missing out into a place that they subscribe to. And so with the abundance of content and the abundance of things happening, it's an automatic draw into being a part of that scenario, because there's never ending. But that's also what is, now we are being influenced besides being the influencer.
I think one of the things about social media, it has become a statement of your statement of being. Being on being on a social media platform, being on Instagram. Today, people are not exchanging phone numbers. If they meet each other, they are exchanging their Instagram links, or it's all about exchanging LinkedIn profiles. So it's a social proof or a social authenticity that has become more relevant, and than having actual connections. And that is something kind of negative for me, but yes, that is what has become today's truth. So authenticity of a person on social media versus the real life is something that becomes a challenge for me to judge on.
Having spoken about FOMO, we on users on a daily basis spend 2.4 hours on social media, and having that number of users, around 4.9 million users by 2024 on social media. FOMO is playing a major aspect when it comes to either traveling or experiencing the most recent opened restaurant or a spa or a coffee shop. FOMO is governing our life makes us to do actions that we would otherwise would not have done if we have not seen those trails of posts coming in, those feeds coming in our news social feed.
And to add to that, I think there is a lot of it related to the reward cycle of dopamine, isn't it? I mean, when we are on social media, when we look at the feeds, what essentially is happening, it just creates a lot of dopamine release, right? And that's what some of the experts talk about. And that, in a way, is rewarding, which is where this entire scroll up thing, which is there on Instagram, really works. And everyone is just coming out with shots. So I guess that also is something that kind of plays a role where all the platforms try to work on this aspect and make sure. in addition to that, and I guess you guys can add as well, there is an emotional appeal. I guess I as a user of social media get validated if I see similar sort of feelings out there, people talking about same emotions, considerations, and if I see that on social media, that validates what I feel and what I believe in. And influencers, if they talk about the same thing, then that also could lead to it.
Actually, emotional appeal is, again, in a way, it can be an answer to loneliness or it can be an answer to looking for more validation. You know, it's a dual thing. And talking about repeated scrolling, this is what it does. You know, it is continuously capturing your mind. I find it like a mind trap. You know, and so yes, in terms of emotional appeal, it resonates with you. You find people talking your language. You find people talking about your emotions. Like supposedly somebody has some kind of a fear and they are some kind of a phobia and they are not open to talk about it. They will definitely find someone on Instagram and they will resonate with that person, and then it suddenly becomes a validation. Yeah, this is normal. So that way, it does definitely work for me in terms of emotional appeal.
I think even before that, if we take a step back, really it's more about finding ourselves first, because everything else you can Google. And really, when you're getting into social media, you're kind of just validating what you think you already know or what you think is already right. And so I think it all starts and stems from your true authenticity. And once, you know, we're all marketers and business people here, so we can now leverage that in the social media or adscape. But prior to that, as far as a general consumer or a user of social media, you're only going there after you should know yourself, because then everything else becomes that perception and the shaping of perception and beliefs.
And this authenticity is such a big factor, right? And just on that topic then, what role does misinformation or fake news play in shaping consumer beliefs in that case?
It's abundant is the problem. Everybody has their own agenda. And I think that's also the hardest part of trying to understand how to cut through the noise. I think if brands want to do it correctly, they will speak more authentically to their consumers. I think if brands want to do it more adversely, then the misinformation and the attention grabbing is automatic, and they'll do what they can to grab your attention in that facet.
Anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, so in India, there are a lot of fake news which was going on in the market. Like in 2016, there was this thing that the newly 2000 rupees note has a GPS tracker. So like a lot of other fake news is like political parties and who are not in collision with each other are in collision or are getting partnered with each other, or one specific politician is getting separated from the party, and it creates a lot of ruckus and noise in the market where the reality is not the same. Recently what came in was plastic rice a few years back. And then there was this funny image where I came up, there was Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk together in a bathtub kissing each other, and that had created havoc. So fake news is, there has to be some regulation to this. Even during the recent elections and the results of the elections, all the not the authentic pages promoted fake news about the results. So yeah, there has to be a lot of regulations to be add on by the social media owners, so that we have news which is regulated. And also as an individual, we need to check on the authenticated pages and get our news verified rather than just believing it at the first hand.
I'll quote an example of fake news. So this is a time which was not 100% a social media time, but again, from my experience of working on Coca-Cola, the brand in India, so Coke, there was a, without taking names, there was a certain big yoga guru who claimed that Coca-Cola is like toilet cleaner. So he was so popular that the quote immediately became viral, and Coca-Cola sales actually tanked. So at that time, social media was not prevalent, but this news spread like wildfire, and not just urban areas, even in rural areas and all across India, the sales of the brand tanked. Similar thing happened in the social media era, again with brand Coke, when Ronaldo, football player Ronaldo, he at a press conference removed the Coca-Cola bottle and put a water bottle. So, and the next 2 days the news was that the share prices of Coca-Cola worldwide have dropped. So yes, a fake news or any kind of news which does not go well with the brand story can affect a brand.
And it's not just brands, right? I mean, it could impact an individual as well. When the sales of Coke dropped, I'm sure there would have been some massive head drops within the organization, because that's the end of it. So I guess there's a lot of human disruption that happens and a negative impact on the actual lives of people. It's just not the brands which it relates to. And completely, I think it's not a source which needs to be used in this negative sense. It's a place where we can all share positive news, but unfortunately, this is the world that we are in. There are always going to be some or the other misinformation about individuals or brands. So is there a way for consumers to then validate this information of what they see or read on social media?
I think as a brand content writer, one thing that we always take care of and must be done is check the source. Go for the authentic sources. Check, I had written these points here. It was pause, check the source, prove, find the authentic voice behind it, and purpose. What was the purpose of this content? You know, as a brand content writer, we have to do this. As a person who needs to, believe in that information, we have to do this. It works two ways.
I have a friend that back in the 70s and 80s wrote a paper on news validation. And so now we're actually utilizing his content and context to create AI agents and AI kind of infrastructure for news validation in and of itself. But I don't think, in and of itself, when you're on social media, everything is fake. That's the number one rule for me. I think once after beyond that, I kind of think of it like holding sand in my hand. Whatever sticks, whatever serves my purpose, whatever I can take and utilize, I'll keep. Whatever falls, I let it go, let it run. And so when we're addressing or we're jumping into these social media platforms, everybody else has their own agendas. They have their own reasoning, whether it's for vanity, whether it's for business, whether it's for brand. I think everybody else's agenda is irrelevant to mine.
Do you want to add?
Yeah, so the thing with a real estate customer is that they are very smart, they are very self-aware, and they are very, so any of my customer would see my ad, go to my website, check my headquarters address, go to the Google Maps, see that headquarters, see the images of it, then again drop in like a request a callback or drop in a message to drop a lead over there, and also would write an email and know that they are getting a revert or not. And also we have regulatory authority for real estate called Maharera, which is known as the Maharashtra regulation, which controls all the developers in Mumbai and Maharashtra. So they would rather go there and see the commencement of the project, how much money is invested and everything. So I think real estate customer is all and well aware about it and validates the information that he receives.
Yeah, and we can safely say that it's not easy to shy away, right? I mean, consumers can figure out a way if they have to really understand what is fake, what isn't, especially about the brands, especially about, if we as business owners and marketeers, if we try to use it with not 100% proof or validation, I guess the sources that we are using, the platforms that we are using to communicate about our brands also plays a very important role, right? The influencers, the blogs, the social media platforms, whichever they are, they do impact the choices and the consumer's authenticity and trust on the brand as well at the end. So then the question is, when we are reaching out to these consumers who are possibly looking out and, these are the options. Like, I can give my own example. Just last month and a half, I was trying to purchase a car, an EV. I wanted to understand. I was new to that concept of what EV works, how does it work. Now, how do I go? How do I choose which EV? I'm obviously going to read through different platforms. First, understand the pros and cons of buying it, start over there, and then when I have to zoom down into which EV would be better, or which model, or which manufacturer would be better, in that case, I'm going to start dialing down into listening to influencers, reading the posts, a lot of articles here and there. But how do I, as a consumer, validate which information is correct, which influencer is correct? But perhaps I might have to go back and check the history. If these guys have been talking about the same manufacturer all day long, have they been biased towards any one of them before? Or is it that they have been giving their opinion in a much fairer way? So with that in mind, I guess when it comes to the decision making that the consumers have to do, how important is for us marketeers to choose these platforms, be it the influencers or the type of influencers, or to promote about a brand, and that's from the marketing point of view. And if we were the consumers, then how do we trust or make sure that we are, that the influencers who are talking about it or the user-generated content that we have access to is authentic?
I think trust is earned, right? Trust is an exchange of value, and then how many times I can exchange that value earns quote unquote trust, for example. And then as you go through your buyer's journey, if I'm able to give you what is an EV, how do EVs work, what EVs to look at, and then what are the comparisons of EVs, that's the entire customer journey from awareness to consideration to decision. I've pinpointed maybe 15 different articles of SEO value that we've exchanged for nothing after I've written it. And so that trust factor is then provided in the fact that, okay, great, if I sell EVs, then you would come to me because I've given you so much value for nothing, essentially, and provided you that much knowledge. So I think part of that is making sure that the value exchange is correct, and making sure that we are answering the questions as a brand. We're answering the questions that build our authenticity for our brand to our consumers. And if we do that correctly, then that trust factor is automatically it evolves, because the trust of a brand is the reputation for the things that people say when we're not there.
Anything to add?
No, I think that sums up pretty nicely.
Great. Now, when we look at this, and there's so much buzz around everything that happens when a new product has to be launched in the market, there are so many different ways we could communicate, right? And even to building trust. Let's move this conversation to a little bit lighter side. There's a lot more fun ways of utilizing social media, which brands try to adopt as well. Let's share some examples of how viral trends and memes could actually benefit a brand in shaping a consumer's perception or attracting them towards their brand.
See, in today's day and age, anything and everything which catches attention becomes a meme or is becomes viral. And most of the people who have seen Indian movies would remember this Jhandu Bam thing added to the song. And the sales, while the brand first, put a copyright case on the songwriters and the filmmakers, but eventually the sales of the brand went up so much that they took the case back and they promoted the song themselves. So anything which can catch attention is a viral or a meme, and it's a very scary trend. Anything can be viral, even, and people who don't have people or things or substances which do not carry any value, any purpose, that also becomes viral. And in today's day and age, if there is a film star and if she is slipping on the stage, becomes a viral. And that for me is a scary trend more than what benefit it brings.
There was a restaurant that had a triple cheese nugget or something that they launched recently. And one social media influencer made one TikTok, and that accounted for 40% of their quarter's sales based on just that one TikTok. Now, we could say that because it's TikTok, because social media is a relatively new thing, that's available, but that's not necessarily the case. Michael Jordan, when Nike originally started his shoes, Nike paid the NBA a $5,000 fine every day that Michael Jordan wore red shoes. And now Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan, and the Jordan brand is Jordan brand, right? And so these viral scenarios have always existed. It's just now it's available to the likes of us instead of just somebody like Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah. Just an open question, and it's not something that, well, it's not like a validation, and it's open to even the marketers in the audience. How many of us would try to use a meme fun way of interacting with our consumers to promote our brand? Just trying to understand. Show of hands.
I feel like I'm a walking meme.
I'll add something here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about a viral or a meme. I have seen brands being shy of using any topical content, even if there is a natural calamity in a particular country and the brand comes from there or has a reference there. I advise brand owners to touch that topic, like sensitive topics, be it war, be it calamities, be it any kind of disruption. They try to stay away from it, and that's something I think is not a good idea. They must be bold. They must, even if it comes to using memes or viral, depending upon the content and depending upon the ethical viewpoint of that content, they must be open to using, and they must communicate on the topical content. That is my advice.
I think it's tough. I think businesses jump on trends. Brands do not care. Brands don't jump on trends or memes or anything else because they have their noted authenticity and they have to prove their authenticity. But businesses always are looking for the next cash cow or the next excuse to bring in revenue. And so those trends end up being an avenue for them to catch attention. And so I think there's a distinction there of how memes and trends and virality is being utilized. But if we notice, some of the biggest brands are the ones that are creating the trends, not the ones using them.
I would like to add here something that just came to my attention. So about last year, there was a viral of a singer who had done a video using Coca-Cola brand name in the song. And it was quite an explicit video, like not something a brand would like to associate with. So, and it was viral. And I sent it to my brand manager. I'm like, people I know there. And I said, what about this? He said, yeah, we are noticing it is trending. I said, but it doesn't, I'm like, it's wrong. It should not be here. He said, but if we start talking about it, or if we do anything, we are giving it more fire. So it's rather like let it die down, because virality, the only good part is it dies down equally fast.
And Amita, just the counter flip on that is that, yes, there could be a negative connotation of the meme, but what it could also do is if it's used in a fun and a positive way, that could create a lot of buzz about the brand. Yeah. So it's just about having a quirky campaign, something that could appeal to a lot of people, and which some of the brands have used,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Not really social media, but the pug dog in Vodafone was a quirky campaign, and had it come on the day and age of now, we would have literally, it would have become
Run away with it. The world would have run away with it.
yeah. So it's essentially a medium to reach to consumers faster because we're talking about social media, but in a more fun and interactive way. And I guess Netflix uses a lot of that as well. They're, the memes, and they're trying to promote their series or any upcoming events. There's a lot of gamification that happens now on the applications,
Yeah.
which marketeers are using. So just the tools that are available to a marketer is just a lot more. And there's a lot more fun side and a positive side of reaching to consumers as well. And
Netflix is a great example of shaping perception and belief. Netflix has, I think it was 130 or 170 different profile types. Of all the 40 million or 400 million people that they have, there's only 170 profile types that they have for the recommendation engine. And so if we think about that on how much they're attributing to the perception of beliefs and how they're shaping it for each individual is very interesting.
absolutely. And the kind of content that they are able to tailor then, to be there in 130 countries odd and be reaching to those 170 profiles that you're talking about, it's just massive. And Amita, you touched upon the ethical considerations. So now let's put our hats back on. And when we have to target our end consumers, we've reached that stage where, let's say, consumers are already aware of our brand, they have started considering us, and now we need to start making sure that we convert them. So from that point of view of advertising to these potential consumers and a target audience, what ethical considerations should we be addressing to make sure that social media influences the consumer behavior positively?
I think, Karan, the first and foremost thing which never goes away is being authentic. And this is what standards of advertising, even in traditional media, are. I'm like, the science remains the same. It has to be authentic, it has to be transparent, it has to be clear communication. It should not be misguided or overlaid communication. These are clear nuances from then to now. How much we are following it, or how much brands or people who are creating this content are being true to it is a value system. I would put it like that. But the rules of the game have not changed.
So I would like to add to it that when you upload or display data, information which is genuine, and when the customer goes back and sees the product or anything on real life cases and it matches, that really adds to the authenticity of the brand, and the customer will want to get back to the product or the service again, so that they know that the service or the product has proved itself to be authentic in the past.
Yeah. Anything you want to
Yeah,
add?
I was going to say, as far as the steps going back to your journey of the EV shopping, the ethical value exchange is making sure that you are finding the resources and the answers that you're getting to every step of the way. And that's the same thing for if we're running a Facebook ad and getting to the sign-up screen, and then the next screen they're getting to the next thing that they're hoping to need or want. I think just making sure that we are addressing what the purpose is, what the alignment is, and making sure that we can actually have that ethical value exchange is an automatic, easy way to consider it. And then if you have that guiding light, you already automatically know what is ethical and what's not ethical. It's very clear and abundant to see.
True that. And just thinking about that, building on that, when I started researching about EV, I started getting feeds then, right? There's a lot of micro-targeting that starts to happen. In that case, I mean, how do you see the micro-targeting to be any different from the broader marketing that we try to do? And what are the pros and cons? I mean, should there be more of micro-targeting that we should be focusing on? Or do you feel both broader marketing as well as micro-targeting are essential for reaching out to our consumers?
I mean, it's a matter of, going back to the shaping of perception and beliefs. We're just doing that in a nuanced way, right? If we're doing it at a macro, we're asking questions or answering questions that are addressing our consumers to think a specific way. And when we're doing it in a micro aspect of it, we're doing the same thing just more acutely and surgically to make sure that we can actually make sure that they address our call to action. And so they're both the same thing. It's just a different level of conversation and the different layer of consciousness that we're addressing, and also the different aspect of the buyer's journey. I'm not going to ask you to buy an EV car if you don't know how EV cars work. That's not going to work. I can't do that micro-targeting. But if I do know that you're in this specific city and you just looked at all the different EV car dealerships in the area, then I know exactly how to talk to you.
True.
See, oh, sorry.
So in real estate, both has worked so well for us. I have done campaigns where we have done macro targeting, where I've selected the whole of Mumbai city altogether and just created the buzz or the hype about the project, where everybody is kind of knowing about it, talking about it. That would be my pre-launch phase. Then coming to the launch phase, where I'm narrowing down and showing the ads to the specific radius, about 3.5 kilometer radius area near my project, surrounding my project, wherein the people of that specific locality are aware that something like this is coming up, which will attract walk-ins for me. And also post launch, where I'm in my sustenance phase, I would really go back to my data, I would go back to my leads, I would go back to my visits, and then narrow down further the understanding of where is my customer coming off from, where is that time I'm getting a conversion into a booking, and then I would narrow down the funnel and target those specific areas again. So macro and micro both have worked very well, but at different phases of the project.
That's exactly I like to catch upon on, is that it is a funnel-based game. You know, you start at a mass level when you are at the opening level of the funnel, but as you narrow it down, it becomes micro-targeting. Taking the example of EVs, so I'm like, there are 10 people researching about EVs, so the world is open to them, but somebody is writing about best EV cars. So maybe the legacy brands or the best brands or the most expensive brands are showing on his radar, which could be a Tesla, which could be BMW and Mercs. But somebody is looking for is EV really economical? Or, you know, how economical EV is? Then a worlds of MG and other smaller cars will come into his radar. And if you are looking at the most sturdy and safe EV, maybe the worlds of, again, Tesla or a Volvo will come in their radar. And that is exactly what micro-targeting is. And this is, again, the same science which has been used in advertising forever, but now with use of data and with a widespread classification, which, like Masroor mentioned, the profiling, it has become much more easy.
There's a clear distinction in strategies and tactics for an ideal customer market versus an ideal target market and ideal target client. Those are very clear distinction of strategies and tactics.
Absolutely, and I guess it completely dependent on what the journey of the consumer, where the consumer is in the journey of buying the product. And you gave a
Absolutely.
perfect example over there. I think all of you talked about that. And yeah, the way you described with those examples made complete sense. Just before we go into the future and talk about how future trends are going to be within this space, there's just one topic I want to go back to, because again, that's a very important one, which is how can brands responsibly use social media to shape consumer perception without contributing to misinformation or harm? And it was something that even last evening that was touched upon, that can we as marketeers put out something which we are not 100% sure, but claim to be a benefit of our product or our service? Is that the right thing to do? Is it something that we should be doing? Is it something that happens? And what should be?
It is from the value chain of the brand DNA. It comes from the brand DNA actually, and by brand DNA, it means that what is the belief system of the owners of the company, people who are running the company. It is as simple as that. Again, the science remains the same, Ethics in advertising are paramount. There are certain brands, at one point of time, there were clear guidelines for fizzy brands that children below 12 years should not be used in advertising. Okay? At one point of time, there was a very clear guideline. Now, is it being followed in today's day and age? I don't have clarity. But these are ethical standards and guidelines which should be found, but it comes from the DNA of the brand, and that DNA comes from the leadership.
I think the brand foundation is a strong point. I think also speaking to the consumer and giving them, again, the ethical value exchange that they're looking for. For example, one of the greatest examples that I like to talk about is, when's the last time any of you felt impatient? Recent? Sitting in an elevator for too long? Sitting in traffic for too long? What do we usually pray for when we're feeling impatient? Patience? Is that usually, oh, give me some patience? That's usually what marketers are selling, is patience. But at the end of the day, that's really not what we want either. If we were to master patience, technically, we wouldn't care about time. And what we're really wanting to sell is timelessness. As a marketer, timelessness is the product or the value or the highest achievement of what patience would bring, of how we can get away from impatience. And so really understanding what the actual highest achievement of what we're trying to provide for our consumers and provide for our clients and provide for the people that we're talking to, that's really the key differentiator. And a lot of marketers and a lot of sales end at selling patience, but patience isn't really what we want either. We technically don't want time to care.
Quite interesting. Anything, Abni, do you want to add? All right. So let's move to the last point before we conclude this session. Let's take a look at what future could be in the space. What trends do we foresee in social media advertising that will shape consumer perceptions and how they are going to? We know there's going to be a lot of AI personalization, use of AI agents. We know there's going to be immersive technology. We know there's going to be a lot more ethical rules within which we'll have to continue to work. Like you mentioned, they have always existed, but then they will maybe become a lot more stringent when it comes to this platform. So what are your thoughts on the future?
Questions. I'm writing a book on question everything already. So we talked about ethical aspects of misinformation and all of that stuff. So we're already talking about questioning everything that comes across us. But I think one of the new trends with AI personalization is making sure that we're more introspective in our ads when we're asking questions within our ads or asking questions within our engagement, and making sure that the consumers and our constituents are, looking more introspectively. That's one of the trends that we'll see now, is because now we can hit them more authentically, because it has nothing to do with the brand or the product or anything else. It's more about the individual themselves.
Another trend I would like to point out is that we are moving towards, our attention spans have become so low that we are all moving towards very short short format content. In fact, I was talking to a marine company in the shipping industry, and we were discussing videos for their crew training videos on safety training videos. So, and their traditional videos used to be 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes long, their training sessions. And one of the suggestions I made to them is, why don't you convert them into 1 minute each short video covering one topic at a time? And the whole deal is that they are not interested, because this is something they all believe we know. It's not about what they know, it's about having them reminded when they really need to. So the bottom point is that having short form content, because people are not interested in watching long format content a lot, is something which is becoming a trend, and this is something what we are doing in a lot of our content creation at this point of time.
So there's this trends in 2025 report by Hotsuit, which says that the most trending aspects of 2025 are going to be, one, AI influencers which are AI generated. They are not real humans at all. And they have a specific character to them. They have a specific target audience given to them. Second would be sustainability, eco-friendly, environment-friendly sustainability. That is something which is going to be really trending. Products which are related to it or services which are related to it will have a lot of traction. Third is anything which is supporting your health or well-being would be the highest trending topic for the 2025 year. And also the content shift will be more on the entertainment side, where a lot of visuals using a lot of colors and sounds, soundtracks, engaging soundtracks, wherein they touch the alpha, beta, and theta state. Those kind of sounds are being developed so that they attract the audience's attention. These are more or less the trends which are going to be seen in 2025.
Absolutely. I think the AI-driven personalization, authentic experiences, immersive technology, making sure the value system, value-based branding remains intact. And like you mentioned, there's going to be emergence of new platforms or new ways of reaching consumers. I mean, there's going to be governance is also going to play a lot bigger role.
Yes.
And with that, we will continue to evolve in the way we communicate to the consumers. There might be new platforms of reaching out to consumers. So it's quite, I think, quite a nice way to say that brands must adapt these emerging trends. Essentially, we'll be adopting to them. We'll try to remain authentic. I think that would be critical in making sure that consumers' trust on the brand remains. And we are aligning with what their values are. And that's basically how the future trends will.
I think accountability and responsibility is also, in terms of the value system, is part of the new emerging trends. You cannot just get away with anything on social media now. There is a lot of responsibility on user-generated content also. Like brands had started, companies, I wouldn't say brands, but companies had started exploiting reviews and the comments and reviews also. And everywhere now some sort of, even in influencer marketing now, they have to declare that this is a sponsored content versus non-sponsored content. I think that kind of ethics and accountability are also going to be a major part of the trend system.
I think if you're a business or a brand that automatically does not make profit through purpose, you will get left in the wayside pretty easily. It's an automatic win. It's an automatic requirement moving forward. One of my missions is, I don't know why nonprofits would not run 50% of the US economy just because they need to, because it's a profit through purpose. And that's where sustainability, social resilience, environmentally, all of those things are going to come into play, because those are the value systems that we really, again, going introspectively, when we question ourselves and question what we're engaging with, why wouldn't we want sustainable movement? Why wouldn't we want sustainable factors? There's nothing that we would engage with that would be unsustainable. And so businesses and brands that don't make profit through purpose is going to be gone by 2025.
Absolutely, and that's a way to remain competitive.
Also, the age of competition is gone and the age of collaboration is come in.
Yep.
So collaboration is the key trend in this coming era, wherein you don't have to fight, but you have to collaborate and build on the audiences. Yeah, that's.
And that's how we avoid the situation of ending up like how it was in Wall-E. Perfect. So that was our thoughts. We'll be happy to have any questions from the audience. We've got a couple of minutes. Yes, please. Can we have a mic?
Good morning, everyone. This is Praveen. My question is related to the negative content published, or some brand owner has made a mistakes and that has been identified by some people. Like recent example, if I quote, there was one EV scooter which has been damaged in front of the service centers. I do not want to quote the name. And in such cases, as a brand owner, what are the actions that the brand owner has to take?
I would take this question up. So there is a crisis management strategy. You know, as a brand, there are few things which have to be kept in mind, and which is that accidents will happen, and we have to have a game plan in place. And one of the first thing is, do not verify what has happened. Be transparent. Be open about it. You know, these part of the value system, and then communicate openly about it, because the negative will die down with the positive. That is, on an immediate basis, I can give you a point of view, and rest is also a lot strategy based. Anything, Avni?
It depends on how bold you want to be. Everything is a collective, so technically you can bring it with the consumers and, you know, ask for help, because that's the point, right? I think ownership and responsibility makes the most sense day one, but that's why Tesla has an open patent on all of their electric stuff. It's an open game for everybody. So let's figure out what the problems are, and let's figure out what the solution should be.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's say that for some reason people misunderstand or have a misconception about your brand. A few days ago, actually, I was watching a Jaguar commercial, right? But this time it was about clothing. It was Jaguar, like I kid you not, I saw that advertisement, right? But for anybody that watches Jaguar for the first time, how do you shift perceptions of your brand?
Could you, you're saying Jaguar, but it was a clothing brand. Did you mean that?
So, just to give it a little bit of context, Jaguar is a car brand, right? Mm-hmm. Or just for the sake of the example, let's talk about Mercedes, right? Or you're talking about Tesla, for instance, right? And let's say that Tesla has a cloth branding, right? And for the first-time viewer, they think of the perception of Tesla as clothing, when in reality, it's cars, right? So how do you shift that perception of your own branding?
The brand and the product are two different things. And so let's say Tesla, for example, I guess luxury and efficiency are kind of the main brand values there. Even if their clothing aligns to that, that's only one product that I need to sell you on just to get you into my ecosystem. And then, great, you're going to start getting ads about my cars so you can wear my clothes in them.
My question here will be, is there a brand infringement here? This is what I would look at. Is there a brand infringement? Like Tesla is Tesla, and somebody sitting in some other part of the world has taken out another brand with the same name, Tesla, and has Tesla protected itself against brand infringement? If the brand is making some noise and is disturbing the market of Tesla, Tesla can take protective action against it. Or if Tesla probably thinks, okay, this brand possibly in future aligns with my lifestyle, from a car brand, and I'm evolving into a lifestyle brand, they can collaborate, or they can be a JV or a takeover. I'm looking at it from a business perspective.
Yeah, and to add to these, if Tesla was tomorrow coming up with a culinary solution, then it would have been a little bit of shocker for me to accept the brand. But so nice. Yeah, there might be.
But this kind of ads are also getting in trend now, wherein the product is different, but the message is shown is different, and the last 10 seconds you see the actual product. So I just recently saw this reel today morning itself. There's this person driving the car and banging the car everywhere, every possible way, and so you might, and it is written, this is not a car ad. When you are waiting, okay, this is a car ad, you somewhere believing it for the 20 seconds.
Insurance.
And the last 10 seconds, the car is getting parked to the home and still getting damaged. And the husband of the house is like, I love my wife, but I can't trust her with my car, so I want to keep my car safe. So he's putting it in a Godrej locker, the digital Godrej locker, and that is the ad. So yeah, this kind of content is trending. You also see like people falling down, and then the person, like people falling down, which is a normal video, and there is another video attached to it where they show the product. So this kind of ads are trending in right now.
Makes sense. Any other questions? Possibly the last one.
Hi, my name is Siddharth. I have a question regarding the new perception that brands are trying to set. So new brands they're trying to be more authentic. They want to be more transparent, and that's something that they want to put as a narrative in their brand stories. My question is, how do actually brands become more transparent without actually giving out too much information to their competitors and providing them with an edge maybe?
See, by transparency, it also means that you being authentic about your micro-targeting. Like, you might, for example, as a clothing brand, if you're talking about sustainability, if you're talking about using ethical practices, so that is your authentic message. It doesn't mean that you are talking about where you are sourcing from, what cotton you are using, what thread you are using. It is not about that. It is about how sustainable you are, what are you using natural colors. I'm like, it goes back to the science of what you're doing and how authentically you are communicating. And using the right channels. Sometimes you are putting the right message but on a wrong channel, and therefore the perception gets diluted. Those things are also important.
I agree with that, and I think the other distinction is, what's too much information? You're a new brand, no one cares, no one's listening anyway. You can put out everything, no one's listening. Right? So what's too much information anyway?
Thank you so much.
Interesting. So that's it from our side this morning. Thank you so much, audience, for listening out patiently. Thank you, Anvi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amita. Thank you, Masroor.